I am so excited to have Phil Kahn on our show today, the author of Heartstrings to Infinity, one of my favorite books about the afterlife. And believe it or not, actually, I'll let him tell you what it's about because this book changed my life. And it actually is in line with everything I've learned. And I love that I'm learning about spirituality, about living in the present moment, about surrender, everything I've learned in the 12-step program that actually helps you function better in life. So, Phil, tell me where and how you met Myken and how this whole book started.
Well, first of all, if you're excited to have me on, I am thrilled to be on. I've been a big fan of yours forever,
Thank you.
and I've been following you on Facebook, and I know you're into all this stuff. So when I finished my book, I said, you know what? I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to reach out to Lydia and see if she wants a complimentary copy of the book. And I was so grateful that you accepted the offer, and it does my heart good to know how much you love it.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you. Wow.
and I appreciate you sharing it with the world. In a nutshell, it was the tail end of the pandemic. I was 58 years old. I've never been married. I've been looking for love in all the wrong places, as the old song goes. And I just had never found my soulmate. And then one day, it was April of 2022. I was on an app called Clubhouse. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's
Yes,
a social audio app.
I have a Clubhouse account and I forgot to use it lately. I've forgotten, but it's
Well,
great.
Well, there you go. Well, it was April, and I was going through the virtual rooms, and there was one called Free Oracle Card Readings. It was a new moon, and I thought, well, that sounds interesting. I've always dabbled in metaphysical stuff and spiritual stuff, so it sounded interesting. So I went into the room, and a young lady by the name of Myken was up on stage giving oracle card readings.
Hmm.
So, of course, I had to check her out. It had like a little icon picture of her and a profile. Um, and within the couple of minutes, I'm thinking, wow, she is very talented. She seems really, really sweet. You could just tell she was a shining light. And I hate to admit, I looked at her profile and I was taken. I'm the kind of guy that gets smitten really easily. And I was thinking, I really love her. And
Ooh.
I got up on the stage and she gave me a virtual reading, an oracle card reading,
Uh-huh.
and it was so powerful. Now, what they do is they ask you, do you want like a general reading or is there something you want to ask about? And anytime I've been to a medium session, I always ask, hey, can you give me a prediction about my love life? And for whatever reason, I decided I wasn't going to do that with Mike, and I didn't want to tip my hand. I said, just give me a general reading. And it was a great reading. She said, Phil, you have huge things in store for you. You just have to learn how to get out of your own way. And
Yes,
it's like, gee, Mike, and that's not the first time I've heard that from somebody. And that is something I struggle with.
we all do.
So, so at the end of the reading, and it was great, she said, may I ask a question? You seemed like you wanted to ask a particular question at the beginning of the reading. She said, does it have anything to do with twin flames? Now, I had heard the term twin flame before, but I just thought it was kind of like a soulmate on steroids. So I thought she was basically asking me whether I wanted a love reading. And I said, yeah, I did. How'd you know? And she said, well, I sensed it because I'm on my own twin flame journey with Robert. And I'm thinking, there's
Uh,
a Robert? I was so disappointed. I'm like, there's another guy. And she went on to tell me about her tumultuous relationship with Robert, how hot and cold it was, but she was convinced he was her twin flame. So at the end of that session, I thought, well, it doesn't sound like they're completely in love. It sounds like he's kind of hot and cold. I think I need to befriend this person to at least be buddies. So I asked her if I could get a reading on Zoom like this in her spare time. So we took it off Clubhouse, and she said, I would absolutely love to do that. And it was supposed to be a 1 hour session. It lasted 3.5 hours,
wow.
and we hit it off like you wouldn't believe. We just, it was one of those conversations where it just flies by. We're
And I heard
laughing and
that you
chatting.
love laughing. I heard that. I read that in your book that laughter is to me, that's the bubbly effervescence of spirituality. It's joy and laughter, you know?
I
Wow.
agree. I absolutely agree. And there were two things I loved most about Myken, and that was she was an oversharer. She would tell you anything and everything. You just meet her today, and she'd tell you her whole life story, and I love that.
Oh, wow.
And it was really easy to make her laugh, and I love making people laugh. So yes, that certainly energized the relationship. Now I
Wow.
know we're limited on time, and I tend to ramble, so just give me like a signal, like cut
Oh,
it
I
off,
love
Phil.
it.
Cut it off.
Keep telling us the story. I want to hear how you met. What happened next? I mean, and where did you find, how did you write this book? Okay.
Well, well, here's the deal. It was actually a good thing that this Robert existed in her life because I didn't go into pursuit mode. I went into the all too familiar friend zone with her. So I wasn't trying to win her over. I wasn't trying to impress her. I was just me. And I think that was a blessing in disguise because became very tight as friends, thick as thieves.
Wow.
A couple of months after meeting her, and we talked all the time, we got very tight.
Oh,
A
wow.
couple of months after meeting her, she mentioned she was going on a vacation. And she almost canceled the vacation because she had some stomach issues.
Yeah.
And she said, you know what? I really deserve this vacation. The stomach issues aren't horrible. I'm going to go anyway. And she went and she sent me pictures from there. When she got back, it was Punta Cana is where she went. When she got back, she said, Phil, I have to let you know that my stomach was kind of hurting more and more. Again, it wasn't excruciating, but if it had been like a couple of weeks later, I probably would have backed out from taking the vacation. But I'm so glad I did. It was beautiful. It was like a glimpse of heaven. Um, to make a long story short, her stomach pain kept persisting and it wouldn't go away. And we talked all the time. And um, turns out I couldn't believe it. She was 48 years old. She was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And what happened? The first person she called was actually me. And we cried. But I figured if anybody is going to survive, it's going to be Myken. She was such a strong spirit, such a bright light. There was so much in this world she wanted to accomplish. She wanted to write books about spirituality. She lovingly referred to her home as the sanctuary. It was in Arizona, and she wanted to hold spiritual retreats there. And so I was convinced she was going to be fine. Then she told Robert, and Robert was like, "Good luck with that. Take care. See ya."
Are you
And
serious?
he bailed on her,
Oh my God.
and it was devastating to her because she was convinced he was her twin flame, and he blew her off. And she
Wow.
went to Spirit, and she had a meditation, and she asked Spirit. She said, "I was convinced Robert was my twin flame. He pulled this on me. I think after 2 years of being off and on and a cancer diagnosis, I can't believe he's jumped ship. Is he really the one for me, or should I move on? And please send me some kind of sign." Well, an hour later, I contacted her to tell her I bought her some healing sessions with a healer we had both met on Clubhouse that she really enjoyed, a gentleman from England.
Oh.
And she took that as a sign of the universe saying, forget about Robert, Phil's your guy.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, and I basically jumped in to play the role of the de facto boyfriend because she had
yeah.
admitted to me that she said, Phil, I'm strong, I'm brave, I know I'm going to beat this, but it would have been really nice to have Robert or somebody by my side. She said, like right now, for example, my back is hurting. It would be so wonderful if somebody was just here to give me a back rub and whisper sweet nothings in my ear and tell me everything's going to be fine.
Right.
And he wasn't there. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to fulfill that role. And
Mm.
I did at first, when I was first getting to know her, you think of like the typical earthly things like, gee, if she breaks up with Robert, maybe I can ask her out and she could become my girlfriend.
Right.
When somebody is diagnosed with cancer, you throw that all out the window. All I knew is that Myken needed love and support, and I was going to pour it into her fully and completely. We didn't need to define what was going on, and she gladly accepted it.
Wow.
So while she was battling this, we became very tight. It was daily phone calls, daily Zooms. I would send her little memes and pick me ups, and our bond grew even deeper. Now,
Mm.
I'll stop there if you have any questions because
No,
I've been
I
rambling here.
wanted to hear next thing that happened.
Okay.
This is fast. You're a great storyteller. By the way, you're incredible. You should be doing public speaking across the country because you get
Well,
a nutshell with humor. Okay, keep going, please. I'm
I would
jumping
love,
to
I would absolutely love to do that. We'll talk about that.
yeah.
Now, the interesting thing is, she just kept getting worse, and stage 3 became stage 4.
Hmm.
She had an exploratory surgery at first that first diagnosed it, but then they went in again because she had an intestinal blockage, and they were going to go in and clear that up. And it turns out that there was nothing they could do for her. They opened her up, realized the intestines were too far gone, sewed her back up, and told her to prepare for the end of her life.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
Now, mind you, I live in upstate New York. She lived in Arizona. So it was a long distance kind of friendship thing.
Yeah.
So at one point, before the diagnosis that I just mentioned, um, she had one of her adult sons taking care of her, and he had his hands full. And on one of our Zoom calls, she said, "Phil, why don't you just come out here and take care of me?"
Yeah.
Now you'd think, and especially knowing what happened since, you'd think I would have caught the first flight to Arizona.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, we had only met a few months prior to that.
Hmm.
We were just friends. I wouldn't say just friends. We were friends because she had Robert in the picture.
Right, right.
And I wasn't sure, is she joking? Does she want me to come out and take care of her? I'm not a caregiver.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm thinking, I don't even know if her children know I exist. What if all of a sudden I come out of the blue flying in from New York to take care of their mother? They're going to be, who is this guy?
Yeah, right, right.
And I'm thinking, well, what happens if I fly out there to take care of her and I notice she's going downhill, and then after a week I've got to head back to New York to go to work? Could I have left her?
Oh.
So a lot of people don't realize, and it is in the book, I decided not to fly out there, and it's the biggest regret I've ever had.
Oh,
Um, and another thing, I thought she was going to make it. I thought it was going to be fine.
right.
So there wasn't a sense of urgency, and she was taking everything in stride. She knew she was going to beat it. I knew she was going to beat it. All of her friends and family knew.
Of
So
course.
I didn't feel a sense of urgency to go out there. So what ended up happening is she got worse and worse. And I'm sad to say, only 8.5 months after meeting her, she passed away at the age of 48. It was December 13th, 2022.
Oh my gosh.
I never met her in person,
You're
but I
kidding.
consider her the love of my life.
Oh, Phil. But as we
It broke my heart.
oh, you didn't meet her physically in person, but there's
No,
something profound that happened after that. With
absolutely.
heart. I
See,
don't
and I felt it. I tell the story, and some people dismiss it like, you didn't even meet in person. Well, how can you consider her the love of your life? It's like you have no idea. And one of the reasons why I wanted to connect with you is everything that's happened since then. You'd think she passes away and that's the end of the story. All that's left is, remembrances of what we shared and a lot of what ifs. But
yeah.
actually, Lydia, that was the beginning of the story.
Oh my gosh. I feel
Oh
like
my God, this is, it was heart wrenching to lose her.
yeah.
But I'm sorry, but she's still with me as my guardian angel.
Oh, I
I
bet.
get signs and symbols all the time from her. I'll give you a couple examples, and I know you'll love this. Um, the day after she passed, I said, "Okay, Myken, I want to know you made it to the other side safe and sound. Give me some kind of sign, but don't make it something like vague where I have to interpret it like, was that her? I don't know. Was it her?" I So I was flipping through Facebook later that night, and I saw an inspirational meme that had a picture of a cardinal on it.
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Okay, Myken, that's the sign. I want you to send me a cardinal." Now, keep in mind, I said I live in upstate New York. It was mid-December. I hadn't seen a bird of any kind anywhere near my apartment in months. Plus, in the 20 years I'd lived in my apartment complex, I'd maybe seen a cardinal once.
Right.
Well, the next morning, I wake up and my cat is staring out on my deck, looking at the bush outside my second floor deck. I think you know where I'm going with this. Guess what she was staring at?
You're kidding. A
It was a
cardinal.
cardinal. I couldn't believe it.
Oh my God, I got chills.
I
Yeah.
could not believe it. Okay, so a lot of people are like, "Well, that's just a coincidence." So, and it's like, no, I hadn't seen a cardinal in forever. I hadn't seen any birds. The next day after that, I got an email out of the blue from a woman named Alia in Saudi Arabia, and I'm thinking, who is this? She had taken some spirituality courses with Mike and had become very friendly and sent me an email and said, "Dear Phil, I know we don't know each other. I know you were very close with Mike, and I've got a message for you. I want to connect with you." And at first, I'm like, I don't know who this is, and I don't know if I feel comfortable with this. But I reached out to her. We had a Zoom call, and she said, "Phil, I don't know how much you're into spirituality and stuff like that." I said, "Oh, I'm very much into that." She said, "Oh, thank goodness." She said, "Myken and I and our friend Vani all were in a course where we learned to channel together. And I've got a channeled message for you from Myken." Myken was so appreciative of the love you poured into her at the end of her life. She wants to return the favor by becoming your guardian angel
What?
if you're open to it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I
What?
got instructions from Myken to light a white candle 5 nights in a row, and that would symbolize that I accept her as my guardian angel. And of course, I jumped right in and went out and bought a white candle and lit it 5. And oh my God, she is with me. I am 100% convinced. I've got 50 more stories I can tell you of coincidences, and I know you love this, Lydia.
You,
Um,
I
it's
got
just been amazing.
coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. Einstein said that. See,
Absolutely.
I am not necessarily into the occult, meaning I don't usually do shows about the afterlife because there's a lot of people out there that are trying to sell that brand and it's a little bit hokey. But this, no, no, no. When I looked at your book and the coincidences were my life story, some of these things in here about surrender were identical to what I had just written down. Something I just said in a meeting, you quoted verbatim. I'm like, okay, there's something about this. And then I went back and it was exciting because I read a book years ago called The Celestine Prophecy.
That's the
About,
first spiritual book I ever read, and that's what got me turned on to all this. But go
oh
ahead.
my gosh, well, that's the first book in this world, in this mode that I ever read that was thrilling because it was plot driven and it was really true to my, it resonated with me because it was so true about those kind of coincidences. So this is along those lines, the Celestine Prophecy to me. And I can't deny it. It's true because I've had three, actually more than that, of actual spine tingling after death experiences. My brother,
Yeah.
out of the blue, I was talking to him 2 years ago. My mother was very ill, actually 3 years ago, and they had dementia, my mom and stepfather. And I was taking care of them, and I was sitting in the room by the front door, very dark at night, midnight. Nobody's on the street. It's quiet in this neighborhood, completely quiet. And I put an alarm on the front door so Chuck couldn't wander off because he had sundowners. He would wander off at all hours. And
Mm,
nobody could leave the door without the alarm going off. And I was sitting there, and I suddenly started thinking about my baby brother who passed away in the first year I got sober.
yeah.
I said out loud, Paul, oh, I wish I could talk to you. I wish you would give me a sign you're okay. And at that moment, the alarm went off on the door.
See?
Nobody there. Secondly, my best friend passed away in December 25th, 26th. And I didn't know he was gone.
Oh.
And he always said to me, I'm not going to send a butterfly like you love butterflies. I'm going to send a bumblebee. He was just
Oh.
he joked around with me about he didn't believe in anything beyond what you could see with your physical senses. He didn't
Yeah.
believe in the afterlife. He didn't have any spiritual sense, but he loved God shots. And he said, "Oh, bah humbug." We were having a funny fight about this on Christmas Day, and then I couldn't reach him the day after. And I called the police, and it turned out he had fallen off the bed and died that night.
Oh.
And all around me was a bee all day, and out when I was calling
See?
different people to find him.
That's
In the
amazing.
dead of winter, there's no bees in Palmdale when there's snow on the ground. And a bee was around me all day. I kept throwing it and pushing it away, going, "Where'd the bee come from?"
That's what you asked for. Come on.
One more quick one. My girlfriend, her brother died in Iraq. He was a Navy SEAL.
Mm-hmm.
and he was blown up in a landmine, and he was the new father as well back home. And his wife was grieving, and they were all sitting on the beach at Laguna Beach, grieving his death. And they were Presbyterians. They don't believe in the afterlife. They don't believe in these kind of signs. Not
Yeah.
really. And the father is, he invented sonar with his other son, and they're kind of big naval engineers, naval intelligence officers. They're sitting on the beach, holding hands, just doing a prayer ceremony for their brother and for her brother that died and their son. And they go, I wonder if we just let us know you're okay. And a sea lion, he was a Navy SEAL, remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
Came flopping over from the rocks over to their circle. And they all went, oh my God, God has a sense of humor. This is too weird. A sea lion doesn't come over to human beings like that in the middle of a circle. So, you know, are you frozen? Can you hear
Oh,
me?
I must have been frozen. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, could you hear me what I said about the sea lion?
I heard the sea line and then it cut out after that. I said, that's amazing. That is
Oh, yeah.
incredible.
And here they're like
Love it.
really, very mainstream Presbyterians. And they were mind to this day, she can't get over it. That he was a Navy SEAL. God has a sense of humor. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I have to
Absolutely.
believe that your stories are true because then it gets deeper, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a really good one. You had alluded to the fact that I wrote the book Heartstrings Into Infinity. First of all, I submitted the book to be featured on a site called BookBub.
Hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with it. I know Larry writes books, and I know you're writing your own book. Apparently, authors will give their right arm to be featured on BookBub because they get so much publicity. Typically, you get 1,000 downloads of your book, and you can hit like number one on Amazon. That's where I self-published it. Well, guess what? I It was accepted. I was featured, and the next day, I hit number one on Amazon in two new release categories. It was
Wow.
spiritual self help and new age mental and spiritual healing. I hit number one, and I'm thinking, I can't believe this. But then I'm like, nah, Myken's on my side. I can definitely believe this. It was incredible. But the reason I bring that up, I'm not trying to sell any books here, but take this for a synchronicity. Now, Myken is Myken. How many people, Lydia, have you ever met with the name Myken?
Oh, oddly,
Probably zero.
I have one friend named Mike, Myke, that I met 3 years ago on the High Line in New York. He recognized my voice. He's only in his 30s. I go, how did you know my voice? He watched the show.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, you have a very distinguishing voice.
I was,
You can definitely distinguish it.
I don't know anyone named Mike, and though. No.
Okay. So you'll agree it's a very rare name.
Yes, very rare.
Okay. So when the book hit number one on Amazon, I sent out a news release to all the local papers up here. And one of them called the Chronicle picked it up and ran a picture and a little blurb about, the book. There's a young lady that lives 15 miles north of me that had just lost her father. He was a well-known and well-loved pediatrician in the area, and she was devastated. They were very, very close. She was distraught, and I mean like very distraught, like not wanting to, continue, kind of distraught. She
Oh,
saw the article in the paper and decided to buy my book. She read the book, and kind of like what you just said, she found it life changing. It restored her faith
oh,
that there is another side. She was then convinced that her father is still with her and by her side. It so moved her that she decided to send me a thank you card in the mail. Now you think, oh, that's lovely. Who writes thank you cards nowadays? Everybody's like, maybe they'll send me an email thank you, but I got this lovely handwritten card from this person. Now, I'll give you one guess what this woman's name is.
no way.
Myken. Can you believe that?
Oh my
The
gosh.
woman that, and we ended up meeting for lunch.
Oh
We
my.
become very close friends. She's on a spiritual path herself. She now gets signs and symbols from her father all the time. We compare notes. But I mean, what are the odds?
And you
I lose
saved her life.
the love of my life named Myken. I write a book. It hits number one. I publicize that fact. A woman that lives really close to me that just lost her father was distraught, came upon the news release or the news article in the paper, buys the book. The book basically talks her off the ledge. She's so thankful. She sends me a thank you card, and she's got the same name. Come on.
Okay, True Stories of Synchronicity and Uncanny Coincidence. That's the title of this show, God Shots. That
Yeah, exactly. Is
mind
that a good
blowing.
one? Does that fit?
Oh, yes. And you know that our podcast right here is number 16 out of all True Stories podcasts out of 90.
That's
So,
great.
but this is I'm not promoting my podcast actually. I'm
It's
people
okay.
relate to this. They need this magic. Life is a magic carpet ride when you see it that way. And something I read in your book, by the way, that coincidence is uncanny. But
Isn't
that
that wild? I
but
love
that
telling that story.
you saved her life with your book. And Myken stepped in. That's too good
Yes.
to believe. It's like unbelievable. I mean, I remember opening your book right away to this page, right after I'd spoken about surrender. It was
Yep.
the first day when I my life was saved was when I walked in. I was a radioactive, suicidal. I went through a suicidal depression. I was a radioactive drop dead drunk at the time. I had
Yep.
a brand new baby. I almost dropped him down the stairs in a blackout. And I made it down the stairs with both of us alive, but at my first meeting, and there's a really scary story between that and my first meeting, but
Hmm.
I walk in and the first thing I do is they said, is there anyone in the room that needs help? And I raised my hand and that was my first surrender. And that changed my entire life. I didn't do much more than just surrender and be willing, and have the intention to want to change. And then this higher power, whatever this force of love in the universe is, some call it God, angels, picked me up and did all the heavy lifting after that. I don't
Yeah.
remember it being hard, but I had hundreds of coincidences that are uncanny from that day on, that very day at that meeting. Um, and then I picked up your book and I go to this page. Myken's talking to you.
Yep.
Oh, she took you to a YouTube video. It was titled
Yes.
Totally Surrender and the Universe Will Guide You.
That's right.
It's amazing because in the recording, she spoke about the beauty that unfolds when we let go of expectations and limiting beliefs. We have very little control over our lives. So my challenge to you today is to surrender. Let go of the need to control everything, including the actions of others. Don't worry about politics or the chaos in the world. Don't worry about none of this truly matters. What does matter is finding yourself and taking action on the things you can control. As for everything else, just surrender. I promise you that good fortune will come your way when you release the need for things to go a certain way. And earlier, you highlighted in yellow, your other page. We all want certainty. We all want the comfort of knowing where things stand and what's in store for us. We need to let go of certainty. And by the way, the opposite of certainty isn't uncertainty, it's openness, curiosity, and a willingness to embrace the unknown and the paradoxes of the world. The ultimate challenge is to accept ourselves exactly as we are while continuing to learn and grow. I don't know
Yeah.
how
You,
this
and I sent that to you right when you needed to hear it as well. It's not only profound, but talk about divine timing.
everything's divine timing when you start to get into the flow of life. And everything's a miracle. Miracles are actually natural law. That's the thing.
Mm.
Not a juxtaposition of nature changing its. No, if we're in the flow of the divine, the so-called miracles are naturally happening all the time. Nature's
I agree. Let me ask you this. Like you said earlier, I'm not trying to convince anybody. This is just me telling my story, what happened, and this is you telling your story about what happens. I'm not trying to convert anybody. But one thing I found is when I've been sharing my book with friends, more of them believe in this stuff than I ever thought.
really.
But maybe they're kind of closeted, like, oh, I don't want people to judge me by
Right.
saying I believe in signs and synchronicities. But it's been so well received, it really does my heart good. Do you find the same thing?
Yes, yes, I do. And I've written to the man. I spoke at a meeting in Iran this morning, and I was asked to speak, and I figured, well, I'll just spread love around the world. That's what God is to me anyway, love. I don't want to bring politics into it or anything. It was a recovery meeting. And And I asked them afterwards, do they believe in this stuff that I believe in? That we're on a magic carpet ride. It's like when I surrendered, everything changed. That's step one in the 12-step program.
Yeah.
So become willing to admit you have a problem and admit it out loud. That was my first admission. And from that moment on, everything became easier. And they
Yeah.
all in the room, Iran is what we think it is. There's a lot of women in there that are they're pro women's rights. There are a lot
Yeah.
of people in there that love all religions. They're not all prejudiced against Jews. You know, it's not us or them. The whole world just needs this healing balm of love.
Oh,
And
yes.
it's infinite love is what God is. It's not a fixed old man in the sky with a long white beard flowing down fear and punishment. It's just love. Love one another.
Absolutely.
Be less.
And we are love, and we are in a sense God. And if people are cringe when they hear that word, you're right. Call it the universe, call it God, call it angels, whatever. These are just human definitions. Call it whatever you want. But yes, that's who we are at our essence. I agree with you.
But I want to know from you, how did she speak to you? How did you know you were being guided to get these messages? These are almost too concrete. They're things that resonate with, I mean, like you speak the language of the great prophets. How did you get this message delivered to you?
See, I think in a way, it's channeled through me. When I wanted to write our story for several reasons, I wanted to do it to help myself heal. But I had told you at the beginning of this program that she had many things she wanted to do. She wanted to write her own books and have her own spiritual retreats. And
Oh,
I
wow.
felt so sad when she wasn't able to do that. Now I know that God had bigger plans for her on the other side, and she's been amazing.
Yeah.
Um, but I was so distraught that her legacy wouldn't continue. So that's another reason I wrote the book, was
Wow.
to continue her legacy. So as I was writing it, even though I'm a good writer, writing has always been a chore for me. And I wanted to write it, but I was kind of dreading it. And a friend said to me, Phil, don't look at this like you're writing a college term paper. This is a labor of love. And don't worry, Myken will be by your side and she'll be helping you every step of the way.
Wow.
So when I looked at that, I jumped in. I swear I was channeling her.
Oh,
And I have no proof, but I mean, usually people take a couple of years to write a book.
yeah.
I did it in 3.5 months. Once it started coming out of me, it flowed. And she was definitely there with me. I just know it. And look at everything that's happened since. I know
Wow.
she's with me on it. And by the way, I want to give her a shout out. One of the things I love most, you just read a transcript from one of her YouTube videos, and her YouTube channel was The Sanctuary.
Mm.
Um, with her passing, you could argue that nobody will ever see her videos. Well, guess what? All of a sudden, I'm introducing her to a whole new group of people that otherwise would not have met her or heard her messages of wisdom and upliftment. Is upliftment a word? Her uplifting messages. And
Inspiration.
I love doing that. I love the fact that you went to her YouTube channel to watch her videos. I love sharing that, and that's keeping her alive in so many ways. And that just touches me. I love that.
Totally. And you know what? You're right. Actually, God had bigger plans. Her name is bigger than it would ever be, probably now, and it will be more and more and more. I
Exactly.
Because people are seeking meaning in life. This can't be all there is. Sex, drugs, and
No,
rock and roll. And then, I wrote this thing years ago saying we're all snowballing toward chaos. We can never get enough materialism, material things to fill us up. Ferraris, boats, yachts, food, junk food, chocolate, sex. What more do you need? There's a certain point where you go toward the spiritual side just simply because you need more meaning in life. Your body wears out. It can't be all this clunky solid matter. And by the way, there's no solid matter in the universe. That's why I love to bring quantum physics into this, which brings science back into it, because quantum physicists have proved with an electron microscope there's no solid matter anywhere in the universe, down to the
that's right.
smallest atom. It's all energy, and energy transforms, it never dies.
That's right.
Okay? So this makes
Yes,
sense. It makes logical sense in physics to understand that there is no death anyway. It's only infinite love and eternity. We like heartstrings into
that's
infinity.
right. Heartstrings into infinity. Now, let me play devil's advocate for a moment. Nobody knows for sure.
Yeah,
Some people will say, Phil, you're clutching on to all of this because you're hoping this is how it is. You want to think that Myken's still there. You want to think that you're going to be united with her on the other side, but there's no proof one way or another. And the way I look at it, I'd rather believe that it's true now and then be proven wrong later
me
than
too.
not believing and found out I was wrong. I wasted my whole life not believing in it when it was the truth. That's
Actually,
my,
our thoughts create our reality more than you'll ever know. The universe is elastic to our thought. And I discovered that on an amazing thing that happened when I was grieving the end of my marriage. And I
yeah,
didn't even know we had a fig tree outside. And I go outside to grieve, oh, my little stepson Kevin is leaving with his dad. He'll be gone to another high school when he was 14. And
yeah,
I've had him since the age of 4. And they were going on the Kiss tour for the summer. My ex-husband worked for Kiss. And I went outside this big old haunted house, a Tudor English house we had. And
yeah,
I sat on the grass grieving. And I looked up and I saw a fig tree, fig leaves. I was so unconscious in this marriage, I never knew we had a fig tree and had no fruit on it ever. But by
yeah,
the end of this 1 year of journeying toward truth,
yeah.
the entire thing was full of figs by the end of that year. My life had come to fruition, fruit,
Wow. Yeah,
because
I
I
believe it.
had an awakening, another awakening. This is deep into sobriety. I was already sober, had my initial God shots, and I
Yeah,
was grieving and I was crying and I needed an external wake up call because the internal wasn't working. I couldn't go within and keep begging God to show me. And out of the blue, two giant butterflies, this big, tiger striped swallowtails, come
yeah,
flying around my head. I remember Wayne Dyer had written a book about once you start realizing that the universe is elastic to your thinking
yeah.
and that all the goodness is all around you to be used for your benefit. A butterfly can even land on your finger, he said. And this was so interesting. And I became shocked by the beauty around me at that moment.
Mm,
And I began looking up and chasing butterflies. And at the end of that week, I was invited to go to Del Mar for a charity event to help autistic children.
yeah.
And I went down there. They gave me a free hotel stay and a free trip to the San Diego Zoo. And I was still grieving my marriage ending. And I went to the
Aw,
zoo and I became a child again. All day long, I'm like,
aw,
fine. Two gorillas are making love. Two orangutans are making love, and these parents are going, don't look to their children, right? And I'm like, wow. And then a gorilla sticks her tongue out at me, and I'm like, oh, how adorable is this? I was enchanted all day long with every animal. And then a peacock walks
great.
over and opens his feathers and starts posing for me and the toddler. And we were the only two paying attention, the
Mm-hmm.
toddler and me. I filmed the whole thing. And the toddler's going, wow. And I'm going, wow. And all the parents and the other jaded people are looking at their watches. They're not even looking.
Yeah, see?
And that day, all I wanted to see was a monarch butterfly. I'd never seen one in person. A
Yeah.
monarch. And I get home all the way from San Diego, and what's waiting at my front door? A monarch butterfly on a white
Of
rose.
course. Of course it is.
And
That is awesome.
here's what came to me. The universe is interactive. It wants to play with us. It wants to show off for us, but we're never present enough in the present moment to appreciate the beauty going on right now. Right now, you and me talking,
Yeah.
looking at a baby's face, having a cup of coffee with a friend. We're never present. We're always having one foot in the past, regretting, one foot in the future, worrying.
Yep.
But I was present all day at the zoo, and the reward was I got what I wanted.
Isn't that amazing?
If I only had asked for $1 million,
Exactly. What were you thinking?
bigger.
Monarch butterfly. Oh, you can see those any day. I'd want the $1 million too.
No, but I'm saying, this was like, wow. And I got that. I went over to take a picture of the butterfly, and
Yeah.
just as I turned away, it flew away. It was like, the universe wants our attention right here and now, and all it wants to give us is joy and the gifts of the spirit. It wants to give us everything, but we're
Yeah.
not ever here now.
I know. But let's take you and me, for example. You would think that, okay, we have this figured out now. You think we'd be happy and all our problems would be solved and we'd be present. How come we still struggle too? Is that just because we're human? That's why we came here. If we
Yeah.
didn't struggle, we wouldn't learn anything. What's your philosophy about that?
Yeah.
How come we haven't figured this out, Lydia?
Interestingly, when I am in the zone of figuring it out, like today with you, and I remember I have about 600 of these God shots, and they're a lot of them are funny. Like
Yeah.
every tragedy in my life turned into comedy. Even after I lost my baby brother and found his body, and his girlfriend died on the way to his funeral. She, in a drunk driving accident,
Oh
and
my God.
killed an entire family and a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old little boy.
Oh,
But I stayed sober through that, and I talked about it at a meeting, and one kid there said, "I'll never do drugs again," and to this
wow.
never has done drugs again because the
Wow.
purpose is to share our our art, our creativity, the joy of the beautiful universe, and to share our stories. And we're supposed to be helping others all the time. It's not really about us. And the more it's like there's a great third step prayer that says, "Free me from the bondage of self, that I may better do your will," which is to help others.
Hmm. I
Love.
love that. Love that.
Yeah, we forget we're human. Part of it's that clunky material body we're in, but it's
I
not
know. Jeez.
real. It's not the real thing.
I know. I
Picture
know.
spiritual energy that we're the law of love, the harmony of the universe, music, all the beautiful things are invisible in a
It's
weird way.
true. It's so true. And that's one thing I want to do. I had talked about keeping Myken's legacy alive, and she had so much love in her heart. She just wanted to change the world. And so I've kind of made it my mission.
Mm,
And I've been taking chances to get out there more, not to spread my own thoughts and my own words or my books. I'm doing it because I want to keep her alive.
good.
And I think just the appearance on this show is definitely a God shot. As I said, when I started following me online, I was thinking I should contact her. But of course, you're like, oh, she's a big celebrity and she probably gets, people hitting her up all the time for different things. And I just felt called to do it. And I think that was Myken nudging me,
Yeah.
again, telling me, get out of your own way, go with the flow. Only good things can happen. And it's been tremendous. You and I have become very tight. I love you to pieces. You're great. I love following you. I loved meeting you at Chiller Theater Expo in Parsippany, New Jersey. I know you were at the Hollywood show this past weekend. I love that. It was great meeting you. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad I took that chance. And that's what I want to dedicate the rest of my life to, not only keeping her legacy alive, but sharing the love and helping people who need it. I think it's very important. So I think we're on the same page with that.
I'm going to promote your book, and we want to have you back on maybe, if not this Thursday, maybe next week or the week after, because Darlene has to meet you, and there's many more questions we're going to have once she reads the book. And I'm excited about the screenplay, and I would give anything to play Mike in one day.
Oh, that's right. I'm glad you said that. Yes. For those of you who don't know, I wrote a screenplay and I reached out to Lydia and I said, Lydia, I would love for you to play Myken because you get it. And I would love for you to even direct it. So yes, I want to do this. And this is another thing where it's like, oh, I don't know. I'm just a guy. I don't, I'm not a filmmaker, but I'm like, no, Myken has tapped me on the shoulder saying like, come on, you've made connections. You know, Lydia and our mutual friend, Scott Valentine, I've been talking to. I grew up with Scott. I know you have the same agent. I want Scott to play me.
That's incredible. Did you tell our manager that? Did you talk to Scott about it?
No, I've talked to Scott. We talk regularly. So I sent him
Wow,
the screenplay as well, and he said he'd be honored to play me. So
that's
get ready for your
amazing.
scene partner.
Wow, there's something to this. Now, it's so bizarre because I was extremely hedging, being very doubtful about, talking about NDEs, near death experiences after death. For a while I was because I thought I don't want to be categorized in that category either, but the truth is, it is not just a growing movement, but it's always been something I secretly knew was true after so many of my own personal experiences in this
Yeah.
arena. And it makes sense. And
Yeah.
it should become more mainstream. We shouldn't be afraid of talking about things that are hope, that bring hope like that. This life doesn't feel like it should be ending just when our material body,
That's
you
right.
know, disintegrates. That doesn't make sense.
No, I agree with you. And the word that keeps coming into my brain is normalize.
Mm.
I've been on TikTok following a lot of hospice nurses who talk about end of life, and
Oh,
she said the reason why people are so scared of it and don't want to talk about it, and family members that have loved ones that are dying don't know how to react, is because we haven't learned to normalize it. This is a normal part of life, and
right.
you could approach my favorite thing, we had mentioned Myken's recording on her YouTube channel. The morning that she had her first surgery, this was probably a month before she passed away,
Mm.
she had a channeled message and she recorded it and shared it with all her friends, including myself. And she said, in every situation in life, you have two choices of how to face it. You can face it with fear or face it with love.
Exactly.
And she said, I'm going to choose to face this with love.
Oh.
She said, I'm going to battle this with love. She said, if my life needs to come to an end in this lifetime, I'm going to face that with love. And so she was encouraging everybody to face it with love rather than fear. And as a matter of fact, at the end of the recording, this is how amazing she was. At the end of the recording, she says, I'm so thankful to God for giving me this opportunity to grow in ways I never thought I could grow. This is a
Mm.
woman dying of cancer, thanking God and the universe for giving her the cancer because she thought it would transform her and she could help other people in similar situations. Just amazing. Just
Oh my
amazing. I
God.
loved her so much.
I have a friend named Grace Fraga. By the way, she grew up in an Argentinian military dictatorship, came
Yeah.
to America, was it 17 years ago or 27 years ago? She's a permanent resident, a citizen. She's actually scared she's going to leave anyway because she
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
like the way people are being treated here now. But
Yeah.
a beautiful blonde woman, she had cancer during COVID. And
Yeah.
she's a comedian. She said, I'm going to embrace it as an adventure. And she's fine. It's completely
See,
fine in remission. She had breast cancer. And you know what? She does comedy about it. But that attitude really is incredible. Whether you
isn't it?
keep your mortal life or not, the mortal realm is not all there is. It's just the mortal realm. It's like
That's
maybe
right.
even not even the real picture yet at all. I mean, I look at life like a tapestry, and we're down here with the long threads underneath. We don't know the picture on the other side being formed by the angels and God looking down on this beautiful, and we're holding
Yeah.
on to these strings too tightly. People coming and going. They're being woven and they're leaving us, but they're going someplace better. Who knows?
It's true.
Better.
I believe in that.
We're in a
I
state
definitely believe this can't be all. It
now.
can't be. Um,
And even
and
John Lovitz, my comedian. Sorry, go ahead.
oh
Sorry.
yeah, you dated him, didn't you?
Yeah, we're old friends. He called me the other day to say, Andrew Dice Clay wants to say hi to you. He's really sweet. So I got on the phone with Andrew Dice Clay and had some fun talks. But John Lovitz makes me laugh so hard.
He's great. I love him. I
He was
just
on
love him.
Saturday Night Live. He played the liar, you know.
That's right.
He
Johnny
was funny.
Flanagan,
Yeah,
Morgan Fairchild, my wife. Yeah, that's the ticket.
the liar, right?
Yeah.
So he had a near-death, after-death experience with his father, and he
Oh,
he's Jewish. He grew up
yep.
without any of that kind of beliefs or thought ever. You know, he was bar mitzvahed, you know, all these, and his father was a doctor. And then they had a huge fight right before he went to do a movie with Nicolas Cage and Dana Carvey up in Canada.
Hmm.
And they had a fight, and his father died a couple days later. And John could not get over it that he had that fight with his dad. And he
Yeah.
went to bed. He begged, he was crying and he was distraught. And there's like several weird things that happened. His father had shown him a book before he died in his library, and he said, this book, it was a red book, and it was about fathers and sons. And he pointed to a paragraph. He says, keep this. It's a really important book. I want you to read it. Um,
Wow.
he took it with him, by the way. A little girl came running up to him on the set after his father died and threw this red book at him. A little girl.
Yeah.
And she says, look at page 54. And it was that paragraph.
Oh my goodness.
John has to tell this story. I got to have him on the show.
Yeah,
And
come on.
he dreamed he could not get over his father's death, and he kept crying, and he called his mom. He goes, I don't know what to do. And he dreamed that night that his father was standing there holding hands with all these relatives that had died. And his father kept saying, John, I love you. Let me go. We're good. We're good with each other.
Oh,
We forgive each other. And by the way, tell your mom Aunt Edna says hello. He calls his mom. He goes, who's Aunt Edna? She goes, oh, that was your father's grandmother's sister before you died, and she was a famous seamstress. No one knew that story, and he talked about it in the dream.
oh, that is amazing. I love that.
John gave me a book called Many Lives, Many Masters, and John is a converted, he now believes in all this stuff. So, you know, go figure.
And that is great. I love that. But you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said once you open yourself up to doing once yourself oh, ugh, let me try that again. Once you open your mind to this kind of stuff, it starts flowing in. Once you start believing it, once you start looking for it, paying attention to it, the sky's the limit. My life has been amazing. I miss Myken like crazy. But by the same token, I know she's still with me, and my life has been amazing with her by my side, and more wonderful things are going to happen.
And
I can't
by
wait.
the way we conquer the human experience where we get moody and quirky and we're mercurial, we're in bad moods at times, bad things seem to happen.
Yeah,
It keeps seeking the good. Your only job is to wake up every morning and be grateful. I always say to my sponsees in the program, list 5 things to be grateful for, add a new one each day, and just say, surprise me. I'm gonna not have any expectations. I'm going to look for the good. Seek the silver linings because in every single bad thing there is a silver lining. I'm not kidding.
it's
Really,
true.
if you do that, you really can't go wrong. And in the mortal realm, like where the world is a loose garment, St. Francis said that. Where
Oh, I love that.
where the
Where
world is a
the
loose
world as a
garment.
loose garment. Yeah, I got to remember that one. I've never heard that one before. I love that.
Well, you wrote this, or she wrote this, Myken. I know it can be difficult, but letting go of expectations will allow you to embrace the beauty of what is rather than be limited by what you think it should be. Embrace the flow of your life, Phil. Get where you need to
You
be.
too, Lydia.
Me too. And with my book, I was procrastinating. I was like, I can't finish the book. I'm too perfectionistic. I want it to be perfect. I want to look good. I don't know what paragraph should go first. And I gave up. And at that night that I gave up a year ago, I had a dark night of the soul. And I was in a dark room and I just said, I surrender again. And the phone rang at that moment. And a woman said, can you speak tomorrow for 200 women? I hadn't spoken in years.
Uh huh.
And from that moment on, I've done nothing but speaking for 50 times this year. So the higher power wanted me to speak the stories out loud and share them and not sit in a book in a room making my book into a god and making it so perfect and being alone, isolating, trying to make my book so precious. My ego is not my amigo. So I got out there and I started sharing the stories.
That is terrific. And by the way, I don't know if you saw it. I sent you either a text or a Facebook Messenger saying, "Hey, I've helped people edit books and proofread books. I would love to offer my services to help you. We'll talk offline about that.
Oh,
But
cool.
if you need help getting unstuck, because I went through the same thing, I'm a perfectionist. I told you I was kind of dreading writing the book. I
Right.
would love to help you however I can with that project."
Thank you. Yes, I will call you. I'll talk to you offline about that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just have one central question about what thing should go first or if this should go second. I'm only dealing with one structural point right now, but I'm asking everyone's opinion. What do you think? What do you think? But it should come to me when how do you get an answer from Myken or your higher self? Um, which is
I
like,
often I often sit in meditation, and this is funny. I mentioned this in the book. For whatever reason, in my apartment, I have a vaulted ceiling, and up on the ceiling, there's a vent where the air conditioning and the heating comes through. For whatever reason, I chose that to represent Myken. I don't know why. I wanted to look up. I saw the vent. I'm thinking, well, maybe that's the conduit between my world and her world. So anytime I talk to her, I look up at the ceiling at the vent and I quiet myself. And in my mind's eye, I can see her. I won't say I have the clairaudience or clair, or maybe I do. They say we all have this, but we need to practice it and hone skills, just like any other muscle that we have. But she comes through to me. It's hard to explain.
what if
It's
it's,
when I finally make a decision and start down a path and it's the right path, something that she supports, I'll get a sign.
oh,
Or, like I said, I'll sit down to write something and I'll feel stuck. I'll call her in, and then all of a sudden, boom, it comes out.
right,
So it's not like this magical thing appears and says, Phil, here's what you need to do. It's in little subtler
right,
things, very
right.
subtle. And again, it's about paying attention to those subtle signs.
Well, I get a peaceful feeling in my heart, or I get an instant, like something as mundane as what outfit should I wear for the Hollywood show. And I keep seeing turquoise. I'm just gonna wear
Oh,
the,
I was going to compliment you on that turquoise sweater you wear. You look really great in it. That's so funny you say that.
thank you. But it's like women have so many, that's another whole subject. But anyway, we're trying to look good all the time when you don't really, we shouldn't have to care this much. But anyway,
I know. I hear
like
you.
societal norms and cultural norms and all the material mishigas. It's just
Michigas, good word. My mother used that word a lot.
you use that word a lot too. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Your mom? Oh wow.
Oh, this Michigas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we do get caught up in that Michigas, don't we?
Yeah, it's just these petty, silly things. But we do live in the mortal realm and we gotta have to be presentable and we have to get our message across in a way that's palatable. And
That's right.
I love using big words. Like I used to constantly show off Spanish and everybody and show, our egos are in the way a lot.
It's
But
true.
I've learned to make comedy out of it. I can be such a jerk sometimes. And then I can laugh at myself and I go, well, that's fun. Maybe that's how God speaks to me through humor. Honestly.
And there are many ways that the universe or God or wherever uses us as a vessel to spread the love and spread the messages that the world needs to hear. I agree. And right, humor is just like any other path to do that. So I agree. If that could absolutely be what was chosen for you.
So I'm just in love with you, Phil. I love your book. I'm gonna
I love you too,
a lot.
Lydia.
It's so much fun having you on. We could talk forever, but
I know.
there's more to talk about in your book, and I want to go over, when Darlene reads it. So let's have you back on and
I
just
would love to be on.
you just brighten my whole day. Thank you for being available. Saying
You
yeah.
did too. And by the way, you said we should list 5 things we're grateful for tonight. When I make my list, number one, I'm grateful for Lydia Cornell and our friendship.
I'm grateful for Phil Kahn and Myken and the book Heartstrings Into Infinity. See how I segued into
No,
promotion?
that's good. Available on Amazon. No, just kidding.
By the way, yeah, available on Amazon. And do you have a website as well? Because we can put that up later. Um,
just if you just go on to Amazon and type in Heartstrings to Infinity, it'll take you to everything you need to see.
and I'll have it printed out underneath the show on Amazon, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and also on YouTube. By the way, I just want to tell you, a woman I know of, and I heard about,
Yeah.
had cancer, and now there are metaphysical healings of these things as well. And it kind of depends on your radical reliance on trusting the universe completely, but not always. Because certain things happen in life that you're meant to pass on in this life, so your message can become bigger, or your help. We don't know. We don't know the reason. We'll never know,
Hmm.
right? Until we pass away. But
Right.
a woman I know, she was told she had cancer, and she said her metaphysical therapist or her practitioner said, write down 5 things to be grateful for, add a new one each day, and drown out the voice of anything opposed to the good. And in the end of 90 days, the cancer was gone because she had no room in her mind or heart for anything but the good things she was counting. Seriously?
That is amazing. I love that. It's so true. It is so true.
Yeah,
We are such powerful beings. We're limited in a lot of ways with our humanness. Like you said, we get caught up in the day to day silly things. But we are amazingly powerful. There's so much we can do. And it all starts up here.
yeah.
Well, actually, it starts right here.
Yes,
If we could listen to this more than we listen to this, we'd be in a lot better shape.
exactly. I was writing a comedy thing going, where do you find your gut? Is it in your heart or in your head? It's in your heart, obviously, but
Yeah,
we
love that.
overthink things. I love you. Thank you so much, Phil. We can't wait to have you back. Have a beautiful day.
You as well. Thanks, Lydia. Much love.